Big up to everybody who's live in the building. Big up the Therapy Army. Where are you? Let's be having you, Therapy Army. We got a little story to tell. Big up James. James, no, they didn't. We only shut it down for about 2.5 hours at the most, maybe 3 hours in all. Yeah, the security got actually a day's work out of it, and the staff were working as normal. So when we left, they opened as normal. But the main point of the protest is just to remind the Glazers that we are on them if they think that they have any chance of staying at this football club. That was it. It was just a way to be visible and to get out there and let the Glazers know that this is going to be what's to come next season if they're staying and messing people around. That's what the protest was about this morning, people. Big up, Matata United, proud instructor. Big up, nice one. Go on, lad. Big up, James Hogan. Well done. Big up, Peter Griffin. Big up, Nuruddin. Saw you on the video on the Glazers, G. Yeah, big up. Yeah. We were there. We were holding it. Big up to everybody who's in the building. Smash a like on the video already. Yeah, it's definitely Comedy FC rolls. Comedy FC, here we go. Definitely. It's that type of vibe. It's crazy what's happened to David De Gea. News today breaking that David De Gea signed a contract and the club have took it back. So it's crazy what's happening. It's crazy what's happening in terms of what David De Gea, what's happening to David De Gea in terms of him being basically messed about. He signed a deal, Manchester United agreed, and then Manchester United got buyer's remorse. They don't want him to stay now, and it's just fascinating. So we'll know what's the date today. Today's the 27th. So in 4 days' time, David De Gea will be on a free transfer. He will be as a free agent, and he can go anywhere where he wants in the world. So yeah, big up Steve, big up all the other lads, big up 1958. I thought we did a really good job today. But big up to everybody. Leia says, hi Noreen, saw you on Sky TV. Protest also in the mail, and proud of you, bro, representing. Listen, like I said, I've only ever missed maybe one protest in 18 years against the Glazers. I was at the first one, and I always go because I feel like there are millions of United fans who can't go. So it's almost like a privilege and an honor to represent all the fans that can't go, because I'm quite privileged that I live so close to the stadium. So anytime we can just go there, I can cycle there. It took me 13 minutes to cycle there this morning to go there. So it is what it is. But big up to everybody. I will always go to a protest that is decently organized. I would always go there. Main channel. I don't know what you're doing. Oh, is that you, Noah? Oh, okay. Big up, Noah. Big up, Noah. Sorry. If that's you, Noah, big up, brother. But everybody, please smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. We went there this morning around 9:30. We waited for people to arrive. People took a day off work today. Some people took the afternoon off work. And we were all there. There were a couple of journalists there. And they already hired in some security. So, yeah. We were there, and yeah, we were having a laugh with the security, actually. They were all right. A lot of the stewards, their Glazers out as well. We were having a bit of a laugh with them, saying, join in. Glazers out, join in if you want the Glazers out, innit? Join in if you want Glazers out. That's what we were singing, and some of them were laughing. Yeah, it went well. Like I said, it didn't matter to me if 3 people are there, if 4 people are there. It was just to shut that down for a couple of hours to disturb Manchester United operations. And I know what some of you are thinking. So some of you are going to say, well, the Glazers have already got the money because Adidas has already paid the Glazers. The main point we used to shut down the Megastore was a way to protest, really, because during the season we've protested outside the store before, and it wasn't to try to stop people from buying kit. It wasn't. That wasn't the main aim. It was just to let them know that, yeah, the Glazers know and the club know that, and that's what we usually sing. We sing, "Shut the store and we're coming in." That's the chant. Shut the store or we're coming in. Shut the store or we're coming in. And that's what we do. That's what we've done before, and that's what we did today. So it was for a couple of hours, and we did that. Glazers won't care in. Money is the only thing they understand, and the fan base aren't committed enough to hit these guys where it hurts. You know what? They're not all of the fans, but some of us are. Not all of the fans. Some of us are, and they got us where they want us, in it. Because I tried. I went to FC United for a season or half a season, and I just can't. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult. It's really, really difficult. And also, the amount of people that left their season ticket, it's about 15,000-20,000 fans that left their season ticket. People, that position got filled like that because we've got so much fan base globally. So it is what it is, people. It is what it is. Big up Nuruddin. How many were you? I think it's about 60, 70 of us. But that's on a Tuesday working day morning. That's on a Tuesday working day morning where a lot of people are on holiday and a lot of people have got kids that are in schools and they don't want to risk being arrested. Do you know what I mean? It's not like a Saturday or a weekend, is it? Yeah. But it is what it is. I wanted Joel to turn up. Would have got his ponytail ripped. Yeah, well, that's Avaram, by the way, Sajinda. But Avaram, Avaram with a weird headband. Not the headband, with a weird pony. But it is what it is, people. We did it. We just made it visible. We've got it out there. It's out now in media. And to be fair to people like Carl Leanka at The Athletic, Simon Jones on the BBC, they were all there covering it and talking to the fans. So it was good. We had a good rapport with even a majority of journalists there was very sympathetic and they could understand, and we were having a chat with them. We did the main big store, and then we split up and did the two different stores, and then we also protested outside the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, and then we went around to the Jimmy Murphy, and that's when it ended around maybe 11:30, 12 o'clock. That's when we called it a day. But yeah, everybody just did do what they did. Yeah, big up to you, big up Noah, love and light. Yeah, listen, that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep fighting. Like I said, for me, more than anybody, I said the Glazers, the Glazers have got a fight on their hand. It wasn't about the kit. People are buying. There was a young mother she was there. She was like, my 3-year-old was really excited and it's his birthday and I wanted to get him the kit. None of us, you know what I mean? We're having a bit of banter saying, yeah, you're a traitor and that, just having a bit of a laugh. But that's what she said. She was like, I agree with you guys. We need to get these guys out. But she promised a young 3-year-old. Do you think a 3-year-old's going to understand why he hasn't got the United kit? It's because of the Glazers. We were just there to be visible because we've not been visible since the end of the season. And obviously the Glazers are taking the piss, playing their games with the sale of the club. So that's what's happening. That is what's happening, people. That is what's happening. So honestly, it is what it is. We keep fighting. Like I said, the only thing that we can do, and the biggest thing about protests, people will also say, but it accomplishes nothing. We've done so many protests and the Glazers are still here. You know what? At least what protest does is a way for you to vent your anger and frustrations with like-minded other people. That was the most important thing. We were there. We can vent our frustration with like-minded other people. And as a collective, just as fans come together, guys that I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I don't know everybody there. I knew a few people there. Shout out Steve. I knew a couple of people there. I see on a match day, but I don't know all of them. And that's what protest does. And any protest is like that. It's just about like-minded people coming around a shared cause to vent. That's what it is. That's what it is. Big up Donny Bop. Listen, there's 100 of you here already. Please smash a like on the video. For the amount of views that we get on the videos, it's been really well. And shout out Neurobeats, by the way, for the shout out Neurobeats for for all the graphics, for the thumbnails, man. Make sure you check him out. And any of you YouTubers, make sure you check him out. Eid Mubarak to everybody as well. Happy Eid al-Nuruddin. Yeah, man. Big up Yassin Muhammad. Eid Mubarak to everybody who's celebrating. Eid Mubarak to everybody worldwide. Lots of love and light. Thank you, Nuruddin, for everything you and the fans in and around Manchester area continue to do to keep the image distance regarding the Glazer ownership. Yes, CM. Listen, jump on, Kick. If you want to jump on, I'll send a link in here. So if you want to jump on, just jump on there. I've sent you the link. But big up to you, brother, and you do the same as well. Yeah, that would be the greatest things, to shut down matches, to do what we did with Liverpool. If the Glazers stay, I genuinely, seriously think we have to, as fans, those of us who are asked to protest, have to seriously think about shutting down a game next season if the Glazers do stay. We see what's happening with the transfer. You see how they're treating David De Gea. Yeah, David De Gea is not being the best. He's not the best goalkeeper now. He should have gone the year before. But at the end of the day, it's the way you treat him. You offer him a contract, he signs it, but then you don't sign it. It is what it is. But big up to everybody. Love and light. Sending you love and light wherever you are. But Eid Mubarak to all my Muslims worldwide, wherever you are. Big up to everybody. Eid Mubarak. I'll be having a beautiful time with family. And the next couple of days, you celebrate accordingly. Big up. Nuruddin, Arsenal fan here, but I love the way you analyze football. What a sound guy. Hope you meet someday. Big up to you, Chismo, Tiba. Big up, brother. Love and light, brother. Always love. Always love, brother. Big up to you. Happy Eid, man. True United. It's true. United not going, can't buy a player before 30 of the 6 because of some issues with FFP. Nah, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. I don't buy that, bro. No. You can agree. Okay, if this DL, big up to you, DL. If that's the truth, so why don't you agree terms with players? Agree terms with players. Don't bring me any of this FFP. Do not bring this to this channel. All of this is gaslighting BS from any journalist who tells you about FFP. They have been they have been briefed by Neil Ashton. FFP is the new word for Neil Ashton. That's his name. I'm telling you, I'm not buying it. We saw what Chelsea did last season. FFP is not worth the letter it's written on. It's not worth the letter it's written on. Yeah, big up to Rashid. Rashid, big up, brother. I hope you're well as well. Love and light always. But DL, yeah, big up to you, bro. No, that's not true. That is not true. That Manchester United cannot sign players Manchester United cannot sign players because we're in serious debt. We own almost £1 billion. That's why Manchester United, if there's anything to do with FFP, it's because of the amount of debt we're in. It's nothing to do. Manchester United have been reckless and buying players right, left, and centre. We didn't. Last season was the first time we spent 200 million. In how long? In how long? And last season, last summer transfer, we overspent by 77 million. That's not me saying it. That's a football think tank based in Switzerland. That's what they said. They look at every they'll do it again, and I forgot what they're called, but they're Swiss-based firm who looks at football transfers, and they look at who's gonna get the money for the talent that they bought, who's basically made good or bought players for cheap, and they specifically looked at, right? They specifically looked at. Big up, Lesso. Yes, bro. Lesso, I'm trying to add you. It's not happening. Yes, brother.
Yo, what's good, man?
Yeah, man. Big up to you, bro. Bro, turn me off. If you got me on, turn me off.
Okay. I think I've got you on. Let me turn you on.
Yeah, big up, Jimmy. How we doing, Jimmy? Welcome to the stream, brother.
Yeah, man. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Big up, CM. Enjoy, bro. Big up to you, King. Love and light. I'm good, Jimmy. I'm good. I'm just talking about the latest briefings from the football club, talking about some journalists are putting the word out there. Manchester United can't sign players because of FFP. Get the F out of here with that talk. Get the F out of here with that talk. FFP is not the paper it's written on. It's not worth the paper it's written on. Chelsea smashed that out of the water last year. The reason, if there's any reason, and I'll ask both of you, Jimmy meet Lesso meet Jimmy. I'm sure you've heard each other in the spaces. So big up to both of you. Big up to both my brother.
Big up.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. Let me just add my other brother as well. Yes, sir. Salam. Eid Mubarak, man. By the way, Eid Mubarak to all the Muslim brothers and sisters worldwide, man. Big up to everybody.
Shout out to Jimmy, though. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
man.
always on spaces with him, man. Uncle Jimmy.
Man. I know it's always good to put faces in it. You know what I mean? You know
Yeah.
Man,
So I'll go to you, Lasso. Lasso, you came in, and I'll go to Jimmy, and I'll come to Yasir. Have you got me on? Just check.
No, I don't think.
Yasser, have you got me on? Just turn it off.
No, everything is off. Everything's off.
Okay, go ahead, Lasso. What do you think to that?
Nah, man, I think it's all hogwash, man. I mean, it's you can see it's clearly on the club's part with all of this. I mean, you can't tell me that we can't sign players because of FFP. I mean, there's ways of getting behind that. If you look at ways of selling, the reason why Chelsea actually is managing to actually go around it, it's because they're able to sell players. We're not doing that. We're not doing none of that. We can't even sell our players. Our board is that incompetent. I mean, our players are all on high wages, and it's pretty much obvious why we can't get rid of them. And and that plays a part right now. Right now we need to be able to sell to buy, because to meet the FFP rules, you have to be able to do that. So the balancing of the books now is a problem. We still have this ownership problem. We don't know where we're going or we're coming. And it's just rotten from top to bottom. And I'm not the only one. Here in South Africa, I think a lot of us are pissed at what is happening right now. And I mean, I for one, I'm not even gonna buy the merch at all until these leeches are gone. Because I mean, what are we doing? At this point, if we're not gonna fight for the club, we are gonna go under the mud. We are gonna be in the mud personally. So it's just a sad state of affairs from Man United's point of view. This has to be sorted out. It's disgusting, and I just can't believe that the media is not even saying anything about this. I mean, is this legal anyways? I'm just trying to understand this. Is this legal the way the whole thing is going? If they're trying to manipulate the share price and everything through whatever they're doing, just to try and get as much money as they want to get. I mean, there has to be like some implications for that. And I just want it sorted out, man. At this point, we're all exhausted, mentally. We've just been through 10 years of 10 years of hell. And even before those 10 years, during the Sir Alex Ferguson era, we were still going through this, so I'm also from that era where before they even came through, I was against it from the get-go, because it was just not logical from the club's point of view for us to go into debt when we were not in debt to begin with, and for the Premier League in all regards to let this happen, under their watch. I've heard that in the FA there's a lot of London-based people who support mostly your London clubs. So, I mean, that could play a part in that. Man United at the time was dominating everything. So, we're not very much liked. Sky Sports had apparently had a bid turned down because it was going to clash with the likes that clash of interest, I think. And so they couldn't buy Man United.
Yeah, it was monopolization. It was for monopolization.
True. So it's draining, man. I mean, I've been listening to you guys moan about it week in, week out, but I feel your pain, man. I'm also there at this point where this has to be done. I think the next step should be to stop the home games from happening. And we have to, like, I know sometimes people say, we can't stop fans from going, we can't do this, we can't do that. It's everyone's choice to go to games. I hear that, but sometimes you have to do things you don't like. The hard things to get things done. And in this point, we have to, do whatever it takes to actually, discourage them from being here at all. Because it can be done. Look at Team Viewer, for example. Team Viewer never renewed after they saw so many of the of bad reviews from the Man United fans. Bad publicity sometimes does hurt businesses, so they don't want that. A low score rating can affect the business side of things and its share price, and as well as its image. So if we do that to more of our sponsors, no sponsor's gonna want to come here. Let's be honest. They are gonna shy away from coming here. Adidas did the exact same thing. They're not renewing any sponsorship. So yeah, man. I just wanted to let that out because I usually don't have that much time to do it.
Big up to you, Jimmy. What you reckon? We went and protested today. I know that protest does not mean a lot to a lot of people, but it's just a way for us to vent. Can you hear that?
I respect it. I respect it so much.
Listen, is anybody hearing that feedback?
Yeah, there's an echo. There is feedback. There was feedback from someone.
Right.
Someone's on a call with you.
Also, can you go out and come back, brother? And Yasir, go out as well and come back. Jump in and jump out, okay, bro. Yeah. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah. So, for me, I respect you guys going out to protest. Like, I have all the respect in the world. And I think, even the small voices, I think, are so relevant to the message that we need to send out there. And I think the only way that can happen is, and there was quite decent coverage for it as well. There was decent coverage. I've seen some decent outlets supporting the protests. And for me, that's the real action on the ground that's happening that people might not be aware of or might not care about, but it's these little things that make a huge difference. So I have all the respect to you guys for that. I think in terms of just looking at the club, all the excuses coming out, this is why we can't do this, this is why we can't do that. They can't use FFP because FFP doesn't look they look retrospectively. They don't look in advance. FFP is looked ahead of what's happened. So, they'll look at the end of the financial year and say, this is what your transactions look like. So this window should not be affected by any kind of rigorous FFP problems that the club are suggesting that we've got. I don't see that there's anything of that nature from what I've read. I've not seen anything concrete to suggest otherwise. So yeah. For me, this is everything that's happening at the club now. Everything negative that's happening is all a case of mismanagement at the moment. For a club that's being sold, we understand it's a transaction that takes a long time, but they could still have managed this process a lot better. They could have been a bit more proactive and had a plan. At least they would have tried to sell some players before the window even opened. They should have tried to take some advanced steps. And I just don't feel like they did any work. It's like they've sat back and watched this all go so wrong with this sale, and they've made no plans, no contingency plans. So for me, it's mismanagement, and I don't think we're going to see anything positive in this window.
Oh, you know what, Jimmy? I'll take it, though. If that means the Glazers go, I would generally take it, because I've always said I'm happy to go to the Championship. I'm happy to go to the Championship. Then, for me, then to think, okay, go to the Championship, as long as we get rid of the Glazers. And I'm happy for this summer transfer for United not to sign anybody. If they were to go, because I would then know Man United straight away would be off the New York Stock Exchange. Manchester United would straight away would be a football club again that sells and get footballing operators in. That's what they would be. But go ahead, Yasser.
Yeah, I mean, again, shout out to you and everyone that went to protest today. I live all the way over in the States, so the only thing I can do is support you guys by, saying Glazer out on Twitter. And, there was just a moment where everyone unfollowed Man United. I'm not following Man United. I haven't bought a shirt forever. I don't remember the last time I bought a shirt. So I mean, credit to you, Newsday, and everyone that showed up today. You know, the Glazers, man, they don't care. Like they don't care. They never cared, and they showed this every single time. Um, and at the end of the day, the people that suffer are the fans. So they don't care about us. They don't even with the whole sale process. I mean, it's typical Glazers. This sale process. I mean, from credible journalists, the people that the football journalists, a lot of people said it's a farcical. This sale process is a farcical. The way they handle the sale is farcical, and that's how they handled Manchester United. They've never been serious about Manchester United. These guys, they live in America, they live in Florida, they live in nice weather. They making all the money from Man United. This is I know they said it best. This is what they do with Manchester United is daylight robbery. It's daylight robbery. There was a leverage buyout, and the amount of not only the amount of money they made, they leech off Manchester United. I mean, the depth we're talking about, apparently our depth is somewhere of about, there's more to it. Apparently there's a 700 million pounds plus a depth that we accrued, which is like more depth that has been added to the football club. And
well, basically, so we own about 550 million. That's still the same debt that where they put the when they bought the club, in and around over five. I don't know the exact figure, but it's over 500 million. And then we own about 400 million in terms of transfers that we've borrowed the money from banks to buy players. So we still owe money on like the likes of Sancho, maybe the likes of all the players that we bought last season. And altogether, it's about 900 million. But go ahead, Yasser.
Insane, 900 million. And these guys keep taking dividends. These guys keep taking money out of the football club and pocketing this money. And insane. And now they are trying to milk every single pound they could get from this takeover. This is what the Glazers do. They will drag it as long as they possibly can to drain every single dollar out of this whole situation. And it's someone said mentioned FFP. Okay, oh yeah, someone mentioned FFP. I don't understand why FFP only affects us. It doesn't affect anyone in the Premier League, but when it comes to Manchester United, FFP, not Chelsea, not Manchester City, not Liverpool or Arsenal, Manchester United. And apparently I'm not good with finances, but the report I saw with the reports is we made a profit. I mean, Man United continuously makes profit. We are far profitable football club than many other clubs, yet we constantly worry about nonsense like FFP. No, it's again the Glazers. They don't care. They don't care about the football club, and they spend money to shut up the fans. They when the fans get riled up and get angry, here's Anthony, here's Ronaldo, here's Varane, and everyone becomes quiet, and it's just the cycle continues over and over again. I just pray that day comes. I've been very upset and annoyed about the takeover process, but then again, I think about it as like, why am I? Again, I feel like I got fooled again by the Glazers. You expect the Glazers to do the right thing, and again, this is the
no, they don't. Listen, they never do the right thing. That's why they make it everything. Right, I'll go back to I'll go to Lesso. Lesso, how do you think the way they treated David De Gea? Apparently, De Gea signed a deal, but the thing that's holding it up is that Manchester United have said no, they've not signed a deal. They've sent a contract, they've planned it, they've negotiated it, they said yes, they've sent him the contract, they give it to him and his agent, he signs it, they give it back to the club to sign it and then to get the photo. Apparently, that's not happening. And now they want him to sign a new contract.
Nah, man.
Yeah, but
you see now
we've got the cards, so.
Yeah, I'm going to get to Lesso, and then we'll come back to you straight away, Jimmy. Go ahead, Lesso. What do you think to that? Just in terms of, Manchester United have the cards, but why would you negotiate a past couple of months? You negotiate a contract, he signs it, and then it's for the club to sign it, and then they're like, no, we want you to go lower. I don't know if it's ever happened again before. I mean, maybe there are. Jimmy can tell us if it's happened to players before, where the club has negotiated a thing with them, a contract with them, and then the players signed it, give it back to the club to get the photo and everything, and the club hasn't signed it. Go ahead, Lesso.
No, man. I mean, it just further points out that we don't have people who know what they're doing, and it reflects in how we handle every situation. Whether that's managing our players or whether it's getting through transfers. I mean, with the De Gea situation is just disgusting. We're treating our legends. This is a guy who's been our best player for so many years. And we couldn't even give him a proper goodbye match or a proper send off at the end of the season. If the club knew that it had intentions of replacing him, they should have done they should have made that clear from the get-go, instead of deciding in the last minutes, changing their minds and then decide to do what they're doing to him, because you can't make that kind of decision with. You could do that maybe, I would say, with a player who's not who doesn't have that kind of pedigree, I would say, or legendary status within the club. You could do that with him, but you can't do that with your legends. You can't. You really can't. It's shameful, and this just puts further doubt in what we're trying to do, going forward. Every club, when they look at us now, I mean, at this point, they're lost for words. That's why no one takes us seriously, at this point, at board level or anywhere, even on the pitch. No one takes us seriously anymore because we're just a shambles. We've got owners who don't know what they're doing. We've got Murta and I remember I told you this, when was it? When Murta was appointed, that, this is just gonna, it's a shameful appointment, because it's a guy who's a Glazer puppet. People forget this. He was already working for the club, and he was, you could see that the club didn't want to make any changes, so they just ultimately just gave someone a promotion. That's all they did. So it's not really, you could see that there was not going to be any changes. The club was still going to be run the same way. But had they got someone.
Everybody knows Murta is not my favorite guy, right? But to be objective, he did well in terms of recruiting for the women's team, and he did well recruiting for the youth, like the likes of Sanacho and Fernandez and some of those players. The Fernandez, the left back, the Spanish left back. He scouted some of those players. So I understand the promotion, but once you know that you get there, you can't do it, then you get him out and get somebody else. But the club does not do that. It's like Ed Woodward, excuse me. It's like Ed Woodward. Ed Woodward, in any normal football club, Ed Woodward would only make the mistakes for 3 to 4 years. At any corporate, Jimmy will tell you, any corporate, even local authority, even governmental, anything, if you are a horrendous manager or a CEO, you get found out. You get found out. And, when people know that you're incompetent, you get the hell out. Well, I'll go to Jimmy. Jimmy, of course we hold all the cards, but do you think the way they've treated a Premier League winner, he's the only player in our squad who can say he's a Premier League winner, right?
I think there's something to be said about maybe the way that it's been publicized in terms of how it's coming out, because it's coming out as if like you're describing it, to say, they've agreed. Looks like there's been an agreement in place. Everyone's been, kind of relaxed about it, thinking we've got an agreement in place. Contracts have been exchanged. Man United have sent the contract. De Gea signed it straight away because it's been agreed. They've sent it back, and we've not signed it. Now, that's disrespectful, and I get that. And from a respect point of view, I think it's the wrong way to go about it. I think it shouldn't have been publicized. I think the contract shouldn't have been publicized at all, to be honest. It should have just been done. We've seen other contracts that have just happened. We've just seen it being announced. And I think that's how it should have been done for De Gea, because we always knew it was going to be shaky ground in terms of what's going to be the outcome. So as shameful as that is, from a club's perspective, it's a good sign that the club are prepared to draw ceilings now with these contracts. They're prepared to draw a line and say, we're not going to just go all above and beyond because someone's a legend because of their name. We have to look at productivity within the team. And these contracts are now, the only reason David De Gea's contract has reached his point is because he's not performed well. So the club, under Ten Hag's instructions, I'm sure, have now looked at it and said, yeah, but we can't offer you that. So we thought we could offer you that, but the manager is now pretty sure that you are not as productive a member of this team as we would like our goalkeeper to be. That's why we have to draw this line. And for me, that's a good sign for the club to say that we're going in a different direction to how we negotiate these contracts for players that are bang average. If De Gea had been amazing and he done as well as we think he should be doing,
100%.
This contract wouldn't be difficult.
Jimmy,
it would have been
agree
a whole
with you.
different thing. So the legend thing only applies for me if the keeper's leaving like Van der Sar left the club. That's when the legend tag should apply then if you're negotiating a contract because you're performing at a high level.
But Jimmy, I think our only point of disagreement is that this is all done in public. So if they kept it all in-house, right, I would agree with you. Because Manchester United have let go bigger legends than David De Gea. Paul Ince, Roy Keane, Mark Hughes, Andre Kanchelskis.
Yeah.
That's just to name, do you know what I mean? Like Wayne Rooney, Robin Van Persie. Do you know what I mean? Like he wasn't a legend, but he came and won us the league. And we treated him like Rio Ferdinand. Actually, Rio Ferdinand was told in his last game, that's it, you're not getting a new contract, see you later.
Yeah.
Woodward went to the changing room after the last game of the season and said that to him. Similar to Patrice Evra, who's also a Manchester.
Evra was the same.
Evra and Rio, both United legend captains. So we understand that, but it wasn't out in public, Jimmy. That's the difference. Is that it was not out in public. And I think
that's the important bit, is that the way it's played out in the public, I think that's disrespectful. And I think I would have expected more from the club. So, when I look at sometimes, I mean, De Gea, why does he want to stay? He knows he's not the first choice. He knows he's only playing because he's the only choice. So if I'm De Gea and I'm thinking, I still think I've got a lot to offer as a player. Why wouldn't you want to go and look for a contract elsewhere? Why wouldn't you want to go and play somewhere where you might play more football? The links to Saudi, whatever. I don't know. Go somewhere where you could still play at a decent level, still earn decent money, rather than stay at Manchester United, where you know for a fact, as soon as someone who's a little bit better than you comes in, you are not going to play. So from De Gea's perspective, I think his camp have been weak in the negotiations, because they should have been in a position where they're saying, we want this, and if you can't offer us this, then we're going to have to go and find somewhere else. And your camp has to be strong enough to do that. And the only reason they're not, guess why, is because he's not performing at a high level. Because if he was, the cards would have been in their hands. And unfortunately, for me, this looks like a situation where the club have made the right decision in drawing a line in how far they're willing to go with the negotiations. And that's a good sign. However, the way it's been done and the way it's played out in the public, I think that's wrong, and it shouldn't have come out like that. And I agree with that. But I think the club are not disrespecting him by offering this contract and drawing that line. I think the disrespect is the way that they've publicised it.
No, 100%, Jimmy. That's the point for me. Right, David De Gea needed to have gone the season before. We all know that. We all understand that. David De Gea is not being the player. Like I said, he's never going to be the player that where his powers that be. To me, he's a club legend because he won the Premier League. Anybody who's won the Premier League with Manchester United, for me, you're a legend, because we've not won it in a decade. And the legendary comes when we, at times under David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, where we would have been way down in the table, he kept saving us. And that's why he won. See, 5 times he won the Player of the Season award. So that's where the legendary comes in, aspects of it. For me, it was during lockdown when me and David De Gea parted ways, in terms of, because I used to defend him, Jimmy. And from then...
Yeah, I defended him. You remember, Norton, I defended him all the time. I defended him.
But he does not fit into the way that we play. He does not fit into the system that with the way that he wants to play. Erik ten Hag wants to build out from the back. He doesn't fit into it. So that's the reason why. But Bayasa, do you agree with us? Is that the way they publicized it? And now it's come out embarrassing. And you know that we leak like a sieve. We're that type of club, yeah. And we got a guy, Neil Ashton, who his main job is to do the PR for Manchester United. And to come out and brief against players. I remember when they did that against Andreas Herrera waited. You know what? He was on MUTV and he got emotional the way they treated him. The guy was crying live on camera.
Yeah, I remember. I've seen that.
Because they briefed against him and said, oh, he wanted 300 grand. No, he didn't. He just said, can we talk about it? And the club were like, no, we're not going to talk to you now. And then they waited, and then they came with a meaningless effort to him at the end when he already agreed with Paris Saint-Germain. Like it was for his last contract that his footballing career. So the Manchester United have got a previous, like I said, Rio, Evra.
Yeah, I mean, I do get it. Again, David De Gea. Even this season, I've defended David De Gea. It took me a very long time for me to get off the top David De Gea kind of train. I do agree that we do need a new goalkeeper, 100%. I think it is vital, but I don't know. Like sometimes I feel like there's a lot that's been reported, and you don't know where everything's coming from. I understand people are upset about how this like the information came out in terms of the club, in terms of how they treated him, etc., etc. But I also do believe that David De Gea's camp is also leaking stuff about how he's been mistreated, etc., etc. So
yeah,
I think I don't know. Like I feel like it's very hard to understand the situation because clearly the club wanted him to stay. I think that was clear.
Yeah.
But I think the issue came with Ten Hag. I think what happened was Ten Hag, and this is my just honest opinion, I think Ten Hag thought, hey, you know what? I can stick with David De Gea for another year. But then he changed his mind. Hence why then the club said, okay, if this guy is not going to be a number one goalkeeper, then we cannot give him the amount of money that we were trying to give him, because that doesn't make any sense for him to sit on the bench. So, because I mean, we're talking about some crazy over 200K plus. So to sit on the bench. So if it's not going to be a first choice, then we got to figure out a different situation with the contract. So I think. What
do you think his ambition for staying at Manchester United? What's his vision? What does he think it looks like for him at Manchester United for the next 2 years?
I think sometimes with football players, they're stubborn. I think with David De Gea, I mean, people might see him as a nice guy, and I do believe he's a nice guy and everything, but I do also believe he's a very stubborn guy as well. I think David De Gea is very adamant of being Manchester United's number one, and there's no notion that he can't play from the back and all that stuff. I think it's like he treats it like right off the back, so he doesn't take it seriously, and I do believe he's been working really, really hard and trying to improve his ball playing ability from the back. It's just that he's just not that great at it. It's just the honest truth. And I think with David De Gea he's the type of guy, he say, you know what, I back myself. But also, he also is a big contrast of the money that he was on. Because I feel like people always forget he was our highest earner. The guy was getting paid the most money in our football club. He was getting the most money. For him to get that money, for him to have that money and to say, oh, we're not going to pay you the same amount of money, it's very hard for anyone. I mean, I work at a job. Everyone here works at a job. For you to get reduced wages, it's very hard to accept that. And I understand it from his perspective. He wants his money. Like, at the end of the day, he does want his money. But also, it's like,
this is also his last footballing contract. Like last major footballing contract. Players look at it like that. That's why Herrera took the 300 grand or whatever it was that PSG gave him, because he was going on a free. It didn't cost them anything. So that's why like players go on a free now. Like I remember Aaron Ramsey went to Juventus on a free. They get paid him 400 grand a week. Rabiot now, he might have negotiated a new contract with Juventus, but he was the highest paid midfield player. Highest paid player in Serie A was Adrian Rabiot.
No,
because he went on a free.
I think there's three parts to this. I think this is where the issue is. I'm sorry, guys. 1 second.
Yeah, big
come
up,
back
man.
to me.
Big
Come
up.
back to me.
Yeah. Listen, let's go. What do you think Erik ten Hag is thinking? Obviously, Erik ten Hag was warned about Manchester United. He was warned about the football club. He was warned by LVG. He came here with his eyes open, but we knew what the club's like because we're fans of the club before Ten Hag came into the football club. We knew what the club is about, and then he comes in, and now could you imagine how he's feeling? And how have they not consulted Ten Hag before going in negotiations with David De Gea? Like, what the hell is going on?
Do you know, I was thinking the other day, I bet Ten Hag is thinking, oh, maybe I should have kept Rangnick at the club. to take the stinge out of the negotiation between him and, because I can't imagine he's having a great time of it. I can imagine that he's enjoying having those kind of conversations with the ownership. He thought, I'm sure they probably, because Manchester United lie to people all the time when people are signing contracts. I'm sure they assured him that no, the sale would have been completed by then, because they probably briefed him about all this before, and everything's going to be clear financially. The club's going to be great, and they gave him all you need to do is tell us what you want, and we'll do it. That's basically the dream they would have sold him, and that's why he was bragging about having a say in transfers. Because that's the assurances that he's got from the club. The way I see it, I think he's not enjoying doing that right now, because I don't think it's an easy conversation to knock on the door and every time you're being told there's nothing, mate. Just wait.
Yeah.
Let me come back 2 seconds. Go ahead, Lesso.
No, definitely, man. I mean, he definitely does regret not taking the offer where Ralph Rangnick actually offered to speak to him about the club and everything. But I feel like Ten Hag has his own way of doing things, and that's why I think he just didn't go down that route. He wanted to just see things for himself, and even when LVG tried advising him on certain things, he shrugged it off, because that's just how he is. He wants to do things how he wants to do them, and that's just how confident he is in his abilities. But he should have, because now, if you're walking into a new environment where you don't know what's happening, you need as much help as possible to know what the goings and the outgoings. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, he should have kept Ralph. If I was in his shoes and I realize, there's someone there who knows exactly what I would need to do, to rectify certain problems, I don't have to spend or waste
I was
an
very
entire
surprised he
season.
didn't take him. I was very, very surprised. Very surprised.
I was very surprised too, because Ralph was the one who actually contacted him. He tried reaching out to him first and saying, you know what, I'm here if you want to talk. This is what I would want to tell you, and how we can address it. And then next thing
the beauty of being a consultant in an organization is that you can tell the highest member of that organization to go and whatever. I'm telling you, because as a consultant, these people are not your employers. Exactly. They're your customer. So it's a different thing. That's why
it's a different dynamic.
Yeah. That's why Ralph wanted to stay in the capacity of a consultant, because he knows every time he can knock on your office and drop his balls on the table. As a consultant, he can do that. If he's an employee, not so much.
Yeah.
So
by the way, I'll just say this: him and Murta stopped talking from about 3 months before he got the sack. So I think from February onwards, they stopped talking. So there was a falling out between Murta and Rangnick, and Murta was the guy that hired him. When he
was telling them the truth, he was telling them about themselves. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's a big difference. So yes, sir. Listen, what's Rangnick thinking? Sorry, no, not Rangnick. What's Ten Hag thinking? What has he let himself in for? We've been here before. We've seen this. We've watched the movie. We've got the T-shirt. We know exactly what flavor popcorn we've had in the last 10 years. We've seen this car crash.
That's a good question because, I do think Ten Hag is a stubborn manager as well. This Ten Hag is a very stubborn guy. So sometimes, you could, I think,
You don't have to tell me, bro. He's stubborn. I saw the 7-0 at Anfield. I saw the 6-3 at the Etihad. Don't have to tell me how stubborn he is. He's shown me. You know what people say when people say when people show you who you are, believe them, and I believe them. I believe him.
Because with Ten Hag, I think as frustrated as he is, he still believes that he can do wonders at Man United. He, despite everything, I think even in the situation he's in, I still think he's saying like, I can do it. I'll do it. I'll make adjustments. Like, I don't know, but it's Van Gaal did warn him. Van Gaal did warn him. Louis Van Gaal warned him. I mean, again, the way again you guys were talking about Ralf Rangnick, the way the club did treat Ralf Rangnick, who wasn't the manager. This guy, the idea of hiring Ralf Rangnick as a manager was idiotic to begin with, and that's what the club did. Like that has to be the biggest. How do I say that? The biggest the fan base, the way they brought in Ralf Rangnick, they put out the statement, they pretended, said, oh, we're gonna give him a consultancy role because they knew the fan base wouldn't have accepted Ralf Rangnick as an interim manager. We would never have accepted that for him to be here for a short-term basis and to leave after 6 months. Then the fan base didn't, because after you sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after 3 seasons, a club legend, you had there was pressure on the Glazers to bring in a manager then and there. But the Glazer, I'm not gonna lie to you, they played the fans. They hired an interim manager for 6 months, which they never ever even the whole idea of him being a consultant was a fugazi. That was never going to happen. That was their plan from the beginning, to hire this guy as a stopgap for 6 months till the end of the season. I honestly also believe that if things didn't go as bad as it did with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was going to end up staying till the end of the season. They didn't want to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. People always miss that part as well. They never wanted to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but the hands was forced. The hands was forced, and they made a decision that they did not want to make. So them trying to hire another manager right away is not something that they ever wanted to do, and they always was going to give themselves time till the end of the season. And when Ralf Rangnick came, it was crazy because to put the footballing aspect to one side, because it was terrible. If you look at it, the way Ralf Rangnick was talking, very this guy was not under contract with the Man United. It was, I'm not gonna lie to you, it was a breath of fresh air. He literally tore Man United to the new one, and then he dipped off to Austria. So in a way, the more I think about it, it was a crazy time. And I'm not gonna lie to you again. Someone said before that John Mota fired Ralf Rangnick because he was telling him how to do his job. if I'm not gonna lie to you, if I have a job, if someone is telling me that I'm bad at my job, and I hired you, I don't want nothing to do with you. I mean, we also have to think about this. All these men have egos. John Murta, Ed Woodward coming out saying when we just signed Schweinsteiger, and it's going to push shivers down other clubs' spine. Like, all these guys are egotistic. All these men are very egotistic. John Murta, Richard Arnold, Ed Woodward, and forget about the Glazers. Those guys, they move like they fart does a stink. So they move like they are the Don Corleones. They're like, literally, that's how they move. The Glazers that's how they move. They move like, no one to chat to me. No reporter can chat to me. Like, you guys are not even worth my presence type of people, So with Ralf Rangnick, it's sad because if anyone had a brain at Man United, they would have kept Ralf Rangnick.
Yeah, but listen,
You know?
they never wanted an outside guy. I remember meeting Rangnick. I tell this story. I don't know if any of you have heard me tell this story. Guys, there's 170 of you in here. Please smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. We're on the road to 10K. Hit that notification button because it lets you know when we're next live. We get to the crux in this channel. We don't clickbait. We get to the crux. We shut down the Megastore today for 3 hours at least. That's what we did today. That's what the protest. There was about 60, 70 of us. There wasn't that many people there, but it was the point of symbolizing and letting the Glazers know we're on the next. The season might be done, but we're on the next. And this was a Tuesday morning, right? Tuesday morning. A lot of people took work off today. And we were also talking about what we talked about the David De Gea situation, how the club is literally briefing against him. And I don't believe that the contract being agreed, that didn't come from David. That came from the club. And Erik ten Hag was asked, and Erik ten Hag was like, yeah, everything is there, is going. He wants to stay. We know what he wants to do. But now the club and the manager have reneged. But for me, what is more worrying is that where's the miscommunication between the manager and the club? That's what Jimmy was talking about. Big up Eski. Welcome to the stream, bro. We're just asking the question, what's Erik ten Hag thinking right now? Because we knew, like I said, we bought the T-shirt. We've known who we are. By the way, I've also met your brethren today, Simon Stone. I know you at your workplace. Yeah, I met him. He was there early this morning when we were at the protest this morning.
Yeah. If the question is, what's Erik ten Hag thinking?
What's Erik ten Hag thinking?
Same as all of us, bro. What is going on now?
And let me preface that context by telling you, I've just seen this tweet, right? Koulibaly, Ziyech, their goalkeeper, there's the Senegalese goalkeeper, I forgot his name. Mendy's gone. Kai Havertz is gone. They've just sold Loftus-Cheek and Kovacic. I can't even say it. Mateo Kovacic. I can't say his surname, man.
Kovacic.
Kovacic. I'm dyslexic. I can never pronounce it. Kovacic. Yeah, so they've got rid of 6 players. 6 players they've got rid of. 6 players they've got rid of. They've sold one Loftus-Cheek to Milan, Havertz to 65 million. That is unbelievable to Arsenal. 30 million for Kova to Man City. Ziyech, Koulibaly, 30 million. Ziyech, I don't know how much he sold for. Mendy, I don't know how much he sold for. But they've just done that. Okay, Bowley went on a madness, but they've just rectified all of that madness. Why can't? When was the last time Manchester United did anything like that?
All right. Let's not get carried away. They've not rectified that madness was madness. It's still there.
No, I understand that, but he's already sold 6 players.
Stands.
But Jimmy, he sold 6 players within what? So he did the madness in January and in the summer. In the summer, in the first month, in July, he's got rid of 6 players and got money back from the club.
Yeah, but they spent a lot of money.
No, I understand that. Listen, I understand that 100%. But has he gone way to rectifying what's going on? Has he gone to try to rectify by getting rid of 6 players?
They're doing the right things. I mean, if you're going to praise a club for the way that they're doing the transfer window so far, you could probably look at Chelsea and say, "Hey, look, you're selling players. That's really important." And you could condemn that. You couldn't condemn that. You could condemn that at all. But at the same time, they did spend 800 million. I mean, they spent a lot of money. They have to. I mean, this is almost. There's no room. They have to sell these players.
No,
they have to sell these players.
But Jimmy, I understand that Manchester United have to sell players. Why can't we do it? We can't even get that.
No, but the difference is, Nuruddin, the difference is they've got players that have come in. We haven't got players that have come in. That's the difference.
But
they have plenty of players that have come into the club. So selling is not a gamble. It's not a gamble for Manchester United right now. Let's be realistic. We can't just sell players for the sake of it. We have to be careful. We could end up not buying a single player this transfer window. So we have to be careful.
We know the players who failed last season. We know the club captain has played more games for England than he did for Manchester United. He started more games for England, right, than he did for Manchester United. We understand that Fred is not there because he got used sparingly. We understand that McTominay is not being fit. We understand that Telles and Bailly, these guys need to go. We understand all this, but I'll go back to Eski. Eski, Chelsea, yes, I've made a massive error. Todd Bowley went on a mad one. And I thought that error, Jimmy, was so costly, it's going to keep them in the doldrums for another 4 to 4 years. That kind of error can keep the club in disarray for 4 years because you're buying mixed players.
Look at Everton.
Right? Now, I understand that. But he's already corrected it by getting rid of 6 players. Manchester United can't sell anybody. What do you think Eric Ten Hag's thinking? Big up Jarvis, by the way.
Oh, big up Jarvis.
Big up
Man.
Jarvis.
I mean,
Yeah, big up.
the only thing is, Nuruddin, the optimist in me is saying, right, that he's been briefed. He knows what's going on. So he knows that we're talking with this guy, with that guy, whoever else, potential sales or this. I have to believe that. There's no way in hell Eric Ten Hag's there, sat here the same way that we're sat here like, what the fuck's going on? There is no way the Man United manager is sat there like that. And if he is, Nuruddin, he should have walked a long time ago. He should have walked a long time ago. He will get the respect and admiration from the fans. If he says, I can't deal with this shit no more, I'm getting off. It's the same with, what's the lady, Casey Stoney. The way Casey Stoney got off, yeah, she's a real G. She said, I'm not having this no more. I'm bouncing. All right, it might have got a bit less of attention because it's Man United women's, right? And that's just the way it is. But the Man United men's manager, if this guy walks, it will be fucking news across the world, man. You think that submarine was news? This guy will be bigger news than that submarine, right? So for me, the optimist in me saying he knows what's going on. And I don't think it's a case where people are just having the cards close to their chest and we'll see what's going to happen, because it's the same way like everyone's going sick about the Zidane Iqbal deal. Well, it come out that there is a buyback clause in there. Do you know what I'm saying? So again, for me, it made just no sense to me where you're not giving him an opportunity. You're not going to send him on loan. You're just going to dish him to Utrecht. We now know there is a buyback clause. So the only thing for me is we could look back in this conversation in hindsight in 2 months' time and be like, there was a plan all along. Now, this is the optimist in me. The realist in me saying Eric Ten Hag is as clueless as we are, and he's talking to Murta and Fletcher and whoever the fuck else, and they're just feeding them the same drivel PR that is coming. They're going to wait and see what's happening. But why can't we sell players? I don't know who our negotiators are. Wasn't it last season we brought in a guy to help do some negotiations midway through in the last summer, if I'm not mistaken?
Michael Keane.
Right. So it's clear that
he left, and now we've got a guy from
Adidas, right? So it's clear that Man United aren't set up behind the scenes to structure deals correctly, to get players out correctly. We're not set up like that. We're having to get outside sources to come and do it. So I think the problem number one is, well, it's always been the football structure, and this is just a glaring weakness to it. Why can't we sell players? We ain't got the structure to sell players. Simple as.
Can I play devil advocate for a second? I hear you, but I genuinely feel like there's also a portion of the players that we want to get rid of that simply do not want to leave. And sometimes it's very difficult to sell players that don't want to leave Manchester United. Because again, sometimes I feel like as fans we kind of forget when you're at Manchester United, you're at the pinnacle of football. You're at the biggest club in England. Anywhere other than Man United is a step down. So, for example, and the player I'm talking about specifically is Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire has, in his mind, the way he's thinking about it, he has made it. At once upon a time, he was Man United captain. I still believe he's still technically our Manchester United captain. For him to leave Manchester United at this moment in time, and at his age, it's gonna be a step down. He won't play at that level anymore. And again, it's very difficult to sell players that doesn't want to leave. And the second thing is, a lot of our players are on insane wages. They are. So it's like, for example, the whole Phil Jones situation, right? How can you sell Phil Jones when he's always injured and he gets injured in training? How do you sell Bailly when there was a clause at Marseille where they had an option to buy if he plays like a specific number of...
I'm sorry, Yasser, but other clubs can. I'm sorry. I don't buy it. His players don't want to go. Other clubs move players on. Manchester United, when we were a football club, used to operate like a football club. I've just said before, Kanchelskis, Hughes moved in their contract. Paul Ince in his contract. See you later. We didn't even have to wait till the end of their contracts. We were clearing players out, right, left, and centre by making it clear to them and their agents, they're not going to play. That's how you get rid of players. But I'll come back to you. Let me just get Jarvis in. Big up Jarvis.
Yeah, big up everybody.
big
I
up
just want to
Jarvis.
say on this subject, you're talking about clearing players. The only problem is we have in the last 12 years been putting our players, mediocre players, on ridiculous wages, on insane wages. Just to put things in perspective, Telles is going on loan again, apparently, to Benfica. His weekly salary is £93,000. The best paid player in Benfica has £112,000, and their second best has £78,000. They have players like João Mario and, for example, Otamendi. He's on £48,000, and Telles is on 93. How are we going to sell him? It's very difficult. Even we have players like Brandon Williams. When Otamendi is on 48,000 a week and Brandon Williams is on 65,000, Brandon Williams, it's
I don't even remember when they gave this kid a contract.
Insane. That's the problem. And we are talking about loading players off and selling them. We can't sell them because no one can pay their wages. That's the biggest problem.
You know what you can do, Jimmy? What you can do, Jarvis, is pay them out. So, for example, if now Harry Maguire was to sell, right, we sell him for 40 million. That means 10 of the million we give back to him. So we only get 30. That's what you do. You sell the players on and then you pay their wages. We've done that to Alexis Sanchez.
We did that to Alexis Sanchez, but we have the problem with Telles. We tried to sell Bailly. He was apparently we are going to try to sell him for 2 million, but Bailly is on 80,000 a week. I don't think there's many players only in PSG who have that wages in France, for example. He can't go anywhere else than to the Premier League, and no one wants to pay his wages. It's too high of a risk. So we are stuck with them. That's the problem. And
do you not think that? Do you not think that Chelsea? Do you not think Chelsea, Jarvis, have paid a lot of good money for these players that they're getting rid of now, like Mendy? And do you not think Mendy, Kante, Loftus-Cheek, Havertz, who they bought for 70-something million, they're on big wages?
Yeah, I
they
think
find a way of getting rid of them. I think they're on big wages, just like Manchester United players. Yeah, they might not be as paid as Manchester United. We know that in the past decade. I understand your point. We have been always in the top 2 or 3 in the world, by the way. Top 2 or 3 in the world for having the highest wages. And at times, we've been second majority of time in that decade. And in that, we've showed 2 League Cups, 1 Europa League and an FA Cup. That's what we've got to show. Go ahead, Jarvis.
Yeah, no, I'm just throwing this out to the panel. I'm interested in hearing what you guys think about it. But for me, it's a big problem. The wage structure is off the roof. It's insane.
But we do that because players don't really want to come to Manchester United because we're not a success anymore. And also, we signed those contracts, by the way, people, just to tell you, because of how it looks on the books for the stock exchange and everything else, the way the club's structured financially. We don't operate like a normal football club. We operate like a company. We are a PLC. That is where? In the Cayman Islands. We're not registered in Manchester, England. Go on Google it. Manchester United has registered as a PLC in the Cayman Islands. My friend went on holiday, walked past Manchester United PLC in the Cayman Islands, to the Cayman Islands on holiday.
It's a bank box.
Tax haven.
It's honestly, it's crazy. Jarvis, what do you think Erik ten Hag's thinking? I stay with you because I asked the boys what do you think he's thinking?
About the transfer window or about next season?
Just about the club, just where he stands now. 2 weeks to go. 2 weeks time is pre-season. He said in his press conference, one of his press conferences, he said, "I want to get the signings done now." And the club said in January, "We're not signing any players in January. We're only taking loans, but we've got big summer ahead."
Yeah, I think he's extremely frustrated. He wants to get players in early. He tried last season. I think he learned his lesson. I don't think he preseason is two-sided. One, you only get a couple of the the first teamers in, and the rest are on extra vacation, and you get the reserve players in, and you drill and train with them. So it's not the end of the world. I don't want our signings to come in on transfer deadline day. That's crisis, because then we have like Casemiro, and we can't use him until the round 10 or round 12, because he's not match fit and he needs time to get used to the team and the league. But I hope we get players in at least in July. That will be good for Ten Hag's sake. Getting them in before we go to the camp in 2 weeks. It will be perfect, but that's not the world we live in. For next season, I think Ten Hag will we have a couple of interesting signings, and for example, Mount. Everybody is talking about Mount, and he's like not a big signing. People don't rate him, but for me, I actually rate Mount. I think he has some qualities people don't mention very much. He's never injured. He always perform at a decent high amount, and he can play 60 games like Bruno, never get injured. So we need players like that in our time now building the squad. So I think it's a decent signing, and we have to just be relaxed, because we can't sign Mbappe and all the big name players right now. And but if we can get Mount in, if we can get Kim or Timber, if we can get Kane in and Onana, I think we have a fair chance next season. We won't win the league, but we can at least compete.
Well, that's probably the most optimistic, as the way we stand tonight. That's probably the most fantastical, optimistic point of view I've heard on this channel for the past couple of days. So big up to you, Jarvis, forever the optimist. I don't see that happening. I don't see Kane coming to Manchester United. And by the way, big up Eski, just saying, breaking news, Arsenal have bid 100 million for Declan Rice. What I think is crazy. I absolutely think that's crazy.
Nice,
just
nice.
come out. Just come out now. Yeah.
No, it's 100 plus 5, so its total is 105 million.
105 million for a holding midfield player. Wow.
No, but here's the thing. When you got the money, I mean, the thing is, I've never ever, and when you're a big club and you want to win, you spend the money. That's just the reality.
They need a striker. They need a striker more than they need a Declan Rice, for me personally. But I don't know what's about this kid. Maybe he'll prove people like me wrong completely. I think he's a good player, but he's not worth 105 million. No effing way is he worth 105 million. He's not. But good luck to Arsenal on that one. I'll go to you, Eski. You brought that news to us. Would you want Manchester United paying 100 million? I wouldn't even pay 100 million for Caicedo, and I love Caicedo. I think he is a fantastic player, Caicedo. I would not even pay anywhere near 100. At the most I would pay for Caicedo is 65, add-ons maybe reaching 70. That's it.
I don't think we should be spending triple digits on players like that unless it's special. Unless it's some Mbappe level of player, I don't think we should be spending triple digits on anyone. Osimhen is the closest I'd spend to 100, but even then I'd go 90 max for Osimhen.
Yeah.
So for me,
are the goal scorers, isn't it? So it's surreal. It's surreal.
The thing, he's not worth 100 million. This is the thing. David Moyes said it one time in an interview, and everyone's just accepted that's the thing. If he's 100 million, how much was Michael Carrick worth? He's not a good as of a player as Michael Carrick. He's very good. He's probably the closest Englishman I've seen, even though he's not technically English, but he's the closest British player I've seen to Michael Carrick. But I wouldn't spend as much money for him. No, there's no way. You can get two quality players for that price. You could get like a James Maddison and probably a Mason Mount if Chelsea stop being pricks about it. 50 million each for them two, and that's a solid pair of fucking midfield options there for you. So I wouldn't spend that. No, Arsenal in the same boat as us. They need a striker, but the way my mate was saying, he's a big Arsenal fan. He's there like, well, they want to play like City, so they spread the goal scorers around Martinelli, Saka, and Odegaard. So I hear that point, but because Jesus isn't that reliable guy, yeah, they do need a striker the same as us. So I don't understand why they're spending triple digits on Rice. The only reason why is because Thomas Partey might be getting off, and Xhaka's getting off. So they're light in midfield. So I get that. But if you're going to spend £100 million on one player, what if he gets injured? No one speaks about that. You buy £100 million player, gets injured, man. We've seen it before. Dion Dublin, it happens, man. You buy a superstar signing, they get injured, so then you just fucked. So I wouldn't spend that now.
Big up to that director me. How much would I spend on Barella? I would spend 65 million. I think Inter Milan would take it. Me personally, he's worth every penny. He's worth every penny. 65 million, and I think he's a better player than Rice. That's just me personally.
They're selling him.
I don't know about that. I genuinely believe Declan Rice. Here's the thing. Some certain players they just get because they're English. I think it's because it's English. That's my opinion.
No. It's not for me. I promise you that might be your opinion. But I don't care whether you're from, whether you're English or whether you're from Timbuktu. If I rate you, I rate you. Like, I just don't rate him. I do not rate Declan Rice. That's just me. I think he's a good player. I'll tell you what I think in the market. He's a 60 million because of his age. 23, 24. He's got a bigger ceiling to get better with better coaching. 100%. Right? The only thing that, to me, gives me hope about what Ten Hag sees in him, he's 24, he can improve. I know off the ball, I understand why, because I've done the research now. I've done the research, and I understand why. Off the ball,
Declan Rice under Pep, though. Under Pep he would be a different.
In my opinion, and this is my opinion, and this is me. This is me that did not rate. I did not rate Declan Rice at all. I didn't. But now I am at the assumption that he's in terms of a midfielder, he's perfect. He's perfect.
Is he better than Caicedo? Do you rate him higher than Caicedo?
Yes, I think he's better than Caicedo. I think Caicedo I think Caicedo's a bit raw. I think Caicedo is a bit raw and needs to be polished. But I think you have a polished player with Declan Rice that you could do anything with. The possibility with Declan Rice, I think if we get Declan Rice, it will just take us to a complete Manchester United will take us completely to a different level.
And I'm so happy that Manchester United, by the way, I don't think it's happening. I don't mean to shut you down, Yasser. I respect your opinion and I respect everybody's opinion, but I have not seen Declan Rice dominate football games like Caicedo has. Not even close. I have not seen that. Maybe we don't.
But Caicedo had McAllister next to him.
Yeah. At the end of the day,
and that makes a big difference. Huge difference.
No. Listen, of course, who you play next to, but I'll go to Lesso. Caicedo, who you paying a lot of money for? 100 million. Are you a midfielder? You're paying 100 million for?
No, definitely. I mean, we need a striker as well, man. I mean, we cannot forget that. But realistically, as things are, I mean, midfielders. I mean, you have to look at Caicedo. Yeah, I've personally seen Caicedo control a lot of games. That's why I rate him so highly, personally, from my point of view. Rice, yeah, you could say that it depends on who he plays next to. I mean, even for the national team, I haven't really seen him, grasp games the way people think, he can really do. But he can only get better, man. I mean, it's the same thing with Caicedo. Caicedo's ceiling is incredibly high as well, But I'm still siding with Caicedo. Caicedo is an all-round better player. That man has a tank. Like he plays like he's the only midfielder in two positions. So, he covers so much distance. It's incredible. It's like Kante. Kante in his prime. When you actually consider him, he's like Kante when he was really in his prime, when he was playing for Chelsea. So no, definitely he would be someone I'd spend closer to 100 million for. Probably 70 million. I'd also not spend 90 or 100.
Caicedo, okay.
Caicedo.
Okay. I'll go to you.
I mean, Rice can go to Arsenal.
Yeah. Big up, Lasso. Jimmy, are you paying 105 million, 120 million for Declan Rice for Manchester United?
No, I wouldn't pay that much. No, definitely not. I mean, I like him as a player. I like him very much, but I would not pay that. I wouldn't pay that. Not a chance. I mean, when they've been talking about 90, I've said I know everyone's talking about him, but it's too high. Those figures are ridiculous for. Look, we know he could be the difference to a team, and I think, as I was saying before, you put him under a manager like Pep, he is going to be a very, very good player. and I know that for a fact. If he went to City, he would go to a whole different stratosphere. I think he'd be absolutely amazing. He'd turn into a real world beater. I think he'd play well under what's the little man's name? I always forget his name. Arteta. I think he'd play well under Arteta as well. But I think that will be more his effort than it is kind of the brilliance of Arteta. I think that would just be because he would slot into Arsenal. They play good passing football. They control games quite decently, and he's going to slot right into that. But it would just be out of his pure, I think, just the fact that he's such a good player. Whereas I think at City, he would be pushed to a whole different level of football. So I wouldn't pay that much, but I still think he's a really good player. Caicedo, actually, on the other hand, as much as I think Declan Rice is a better all-round football player, for a Ten Hag team, I would prefer Caicedo in there to Declan Rice. I think he's a better fit for what Ten Hag would want to play.
You paying that much?
Are you there, Nurdin? Breaking up? No.
I think
he asked me if what I think about Caicedo and Rice. For me, when it comes to Declan Rice, what I have seen, he's a great footballer. He knows his stuff. But what concerns me is
but yeah, I asked Jarvis a question.
You're breaking up, Nordin. You're breaking up.
I don't know what's going on.
Breaking up for me anyway.
Yeah, Nordin, you're gone. Like
it's the internet. Yeah, but basically, what I'm saying, what concerns me with Rice is his, he's playing for David Moyes in West Ham, and can he turn around and play for Arteta or another big manager with an offensive style? It's something else playing for West Ham and Moyes. He's in midfield with Thomas Soucek, and he's a destroyer, and Rice is a destroyer. I don't know about
Jarvis. Jarvis, can I ask you a question? I don't know what you would think of it, what you think of it, but why are City going after Rice when they've just let Gundogan leave? How different is he as a player? Are they completely different? Because maybe I just don't watch football technically enough. How different are they as players?
They're very different. They're very, very different.
Very different. Completely different.
Yeah, for
not
me,
Gundogan. If you are going to compare him with anyone, you should compare him with
Mason Mount.
Rodri.
Mason Mount.
In City.
Listen, Mason Mount and Gundogan are similar references.
Yeah, that's true.
But for me, Gundogan was always. I remember watching him when he was at Dortmund. He's an attacking midfield player, a goal getter for Germany as well. Declan Rice does not go up to those numbers. 100%. Yes, no,
it doesn't.
Listen, has Pep up the levels of the type of player that he is, Gundogan. And Jimmy, I can say that because of his age, his ceiling might be higher under a good coach. I agree with you that Declan Rice can get you a lot better. I can see that. But he's not the type. And by the way, do not get kidded by Manchester City. Manchester City were always in the race also to get the price higher for Harry Maguire. I just want to remind you all, they were in for Harry Maguire. They used that tactic. They bought Jack Grealish, not because they wanted him. They bought it to spite Manchester United. Everybody knows. Remember that season when the last game of the season, one of the last games was a Villa, and Solskjaer was talking to Grealish. Grealish was coming to Manchester United.
Yeah, but he hinted it a few times, didn't he? He hinted it a few times.
Yeah,
also,
exactly.
they did it with Cucurella, whatever his name is. Like, I think Man City was in for him first. Then Todd Bowley came in and put down like a ridiculous price, and Man City said, "Okay, we're out."
Well, the point is that what I want to make to you guys is that Manchester City have got clever football operators. How do you get the price up for players against your rivals? You go in for them when you're not serious about it. They're not serious about it. They know if Manchester City wanted Jimmy, if Manchester City wanted Declan Rice, they would have done the work already. Everything, any credible reports that you're hearing, Arsenal have been the team that's done the real work 3 months out. Man City are now jumping on a bandwagon to get the price out to Arsenal pay, but because who's the closest threat to Arsenal? Who's the closest threat to Man City? Arsenal. Exactly. That's how they do it. When Jose was there, who did they think was the closest threat to City? Was Manchester United.
But they had the money. They have the money to spend on a big center midfielder because they were in for Jude Bellingham.
They've just signed. I'm just telling you now. They've just signed Mateo Kovacic, right? They've just signed him. Kovo is the guy who's going to be who's a good ball carrier as well. They've just signed him, so they're going to sign Declan Rice as well. Nah, I don't. While they've got already this inverted centre halves playing.
Midfield.
What's his name? Stones as a midfield player, and getting the fullbacks.
Oh, yeah, he played well actually. He played well in mid. He played really well in midfield.
So at the end of the day, they're just trying to stop him from getting anywhere. That's what they've tried to stop him. Listen, it's been one of those shows tonight. We've discussed it. We discussed the protest. We were there today. At the end of the day, it's one of those things, innit? We just there to be visual. We were there just to be with like-minded people and to basically shout and scream. That's what it was. It was just to shout and scream and rant, other than coming on here and ranting with you guys.
Yay, Glazers out, Glazers out.
Yeah, big up Jarvis.
Check the hashtag.
Therapy Army's own Rick Ashley. Big up. That's what the protest today was. We're never gonna let you go, man. That's what it was. It was there. We're never gonna stop. That's what the protest was about today. Big up to Carl Anka from The Athletic. Big up to Simon Jones. They were quite sympathetic. We had a chat with them. They had a chat with us. And they interviewed a couple of people. So big up to them. And even the stewards who came, they were like Glazers out as well. Because some of them were like, when we were chanting, they were like nodding ahead. And we were singing, you know what I mean? If you hit the Glazers, join in. You hate Glazers, join in. You hate the Glazers, join in. That's what we that's what we were singing. So, and we've not done this before. People think because of the kit came out, maybe the campaign to get people out might have been that. But we've gone and shut the store down before during match games. We've said, you know what?
I've not even seen the new kit. I've not even looked at it. I've not seen any pictures of it properly or anything. At all. But
listen, it is what it is. Big up to everybody and love and light. To me, De Gea, Jarvis, quickly, and I'll ask you both, Eski, because you two, we didn't discuss it. The way David De Gea has been treated, apparently the contract has been, he signed it, everything was agreed, and then when it was come to the club to sign it, they've just said, no, we're not signing it. Can you agree to this other contract? What do you think about that?
Well, if you snooze, you lose. You know, we had this contract for a long time and he didn't sign it, so okay. But we have other options now. You know, we were in the middle of the summer window. You know, he had this time, so I don't feel bad for De Gea. And you know, he's been here for many years, and if he leaves, I'm okay with it. I would like Love Onana to come in or Costa. To be fair.
Yeah. Listen, big up. Lesso, you're the last man. We've not seen you on the channel for quite a while. We'll give you the last word. How are things? Have the South African Reds lost their heads?
Dude, I mean, right now when I look at Twitter, I mean, the boycott Adidas hashtag, you know, it's the one that's trending here in South Africa. So, it's the second most trending hashtag, you know, after Nicki Minaj. But yeah, man, I mean, everyone has lost their heads, and they just want these guys out right now, you know. And yeah, let's just hope that we manage to get over the line in terms of getting rid of the Glazers. And yeah, big up to you, man, for your relentless dedication in this mission of getting back the club.
Yeah, man. Big up to you, brother. Big up to you. Listen, big up to everybody who please smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. The thing about the Adidas thing, I think we can put pressure on the. It's always good. We did a massive campaign on Twitter called Not a Penny More. You can put pressure on sponsors not to do business with the Glazers. But in terms of, like, the Glazers have already pocketed the money. They've already pocketed the money because that's what happens with Adidas. They pay well in advance, and the shirt money goes to them. So today was mainly about visibility and to also warn future people, sponsors who are going to do deals with the Glazers. That's what today was about. But big up to everybody. So let's just get everybody. And also to shout full sale. The banner said full sale. So that's what he said. But big up to everybody. Please check Jarvis Cocker here, Bowley, BOLE 77, and you can also find him on Man UFC Realist TV. Big up to Mick Ruby in the chat as well. Eski is forever tied to here. You never see him anywhere else. You would only see him on United Real Therapy, and you see him now and again with his Simon Stone exclusives. Jimmy, you can go and check out Uncle Jimmy, and he's at J Star City. Check him out. Make sure you check him out. He's on Conscious Streams as well. He puts little videos up on Twitter. Make sure you check that out. He's also part of the podcast. What's the channel called? Remind me, what's it called again?
It's called the No Agendas Podcast and Devil in the Details. So go on the YouTube channel is Devil in the Details.
Yeah, Devil in the Details, and the podcast is called No Agenda. Make sure you check that out. And Yasser, talk to me. UFC, UFC?
YUFC TV, that's my channel name. So I do football content there. So usually Man United based, but I do talk about the wider football. So yeah.
Go and check it out, people. Go and check it out. And Let's So Football TV as well. Go and check that out. And Let's So Football. Is that on Twitter as well? Is that your handle on Twitter?
No, on Twitter, I think I go as Black Rain on Twitter. I think it's Black Rain SA. And
there you go. Yeah, and then Let's So Football TV. Go and check that out on YouTube. Listen, Therapy Army, we were there this morning. We were there shouting, screaming, Glazers out. We won Glazers out. I never sing about killing Joe Glazer because I just don't. It's not in my spirit to sing wishing death on anybody. But I understand the sentiment from my fellow United fans. But I was just like singing Glazers out, Glazers out. We won the Glazers out. And we did it. At the end of the day, we got a bit of media exposure. And that's what we need to remind the Glazers and any sponsors who are going to go along with them if they decide to stay at this football club. I told you about the fake deadline. I told you about every fake deadline after fake deadline. And now we're not hearing any news about this sale. There was an American this afternoon and in the morning. There was an American business. When people tell me, oh, the business people don't clickbait the United fans, and the business website, analyst website, clickbaited the United fans today. Guess what they said? They said, by this afternoon, we will know who's taking over Manchester United. Did we know by this afternoon? This was this morning. I forgot the website's name. It was on Twitter. I don't know if any of you saw. It was an American financial analysis website, and it basically said that you will find out who the preferred bidders of Manchester United is. That's what it said.
But people just make shit up, man. Because you remember when people were saying, "Oh, you know, these all these Qatari newspapers that were reporting very specific things," and people were saying, "Oh, they can't lie because it's against the law to lie in the newspaper over there. They would go to prison." All of them were just talking nonsense. None of that information was correct. None of it was anywhere near accurate. None of the deadlines or times were correct. So people just make up shit, man, and everyone just believes it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, big up. Yeah, 100%. 100%. But let me just get this super chat. Cleb Bailey says Casado will cost 100 million now for Brighton. I know pushover. Wow. That's crazy. Thank you so much for the super chat. It is what it is. That's it. It's called Bazinga. That's the website. That's the website. Yeah, that's called website. It was Bazinga was the website. And what people were saying to me, you don't know what you're talking about. Reuters will not clickbait us. Yes, they did. Reuters clickbaited us as well. Reuters were like, yeah, they said Sheikh Jazim is negotiating to be. But the headline read, Sheikh Jazim preferred bidder. If that's not a clickbait, I don't know what it is then. And then when you read the article, it says he's negotiating to be. So when people are accusing me, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, at the end of the day, you know what it is? It's Nuruddin 10. These deadlines and these journalists are like zilt. I'm winning 10-0. 10-0 and we're counting people. And everybody gets me on Twitter. Get it, FC, get sold. Have you seen this? Have you seen that? The Qatar.
Do you know what? Nuruddin, let me just say one thing, right? Let me just say one thing real quick. Do you know what? Journalists should be ashamed of themselves with the reporting of this Manchester United takeover. They should all feel ashamed of themselves. They have done a very poor job. Manchester United are one of the biggest sporting brands in the world, right? The problem is Manchester United have entertained making these internet journalists, they're putting them in the front line of how they get snippets of stories out there instead of using proper journalists like they used to. So what they're getting is these journalists just making shit up, and it's just not true. And they should all be ashamed. It's a very shameful thing to see these journalists that have the privilege of some of them being exclusive reporters for Manchester United and reporting in the way that they've reported for this story. It's an absolute shambles, and they should all be ashamed.
Sir Alex used to call them out. He used to call them out.
And you know what? And some people were DMing me today about the new Frankie de Jong link because Barcelona have to sell. And now we've got a guy who's got 3 million followers. You know, that Romero guy became famous because of the back of Manchester United using the fan base. He became famous. Another guy's tried to get famous now for linking us to Frankie de Jong. Brilliant. It's brilliant. It's what it is. Clickbait FC. But big up to everybody. This has been your Manchester United news. Big up to everybody. Like I said, make sure you check everybody out. YUFC. And make sure you check that channel out on YouTube. Make sure you check out Jarvis Hooker Bowley BOLE77. Uncle Jimmy is Jimmy. It's at J Star City and Lesso Football TV. Go and check that channel out. Eski is forever tied to United Real Therapy. And yeah, we'll see you for the next thing, people. Tomorrow apparently it's the AGM. It's the AGM. We're gonna get the facts and figures what Manchester United finances are. And other people have been telling me that's why they've not gone out and signed anybody, because they're waiting the financial things to come out. So we'll know tomorrow. We'll find out.
Always an excuse. There's always some excuse.
It's next week. It's next week. Every time it's next week.
Yeah. Well, listen, we'll find out. Shameless. Honestly, that's what it is. But that's what happens when you sign Neil Ashton instead of signing a director of football. But peace, love, and light. Win, lose, or draw. Glazers out, bankers out. Big up to everybody who turned out today, who took the work off today, who turned out outside Old Trafford to protest against the Glazers. Love and light, people. Peace. Take care. Good night.
Good night. Oh.